A truck drives into Jinyang, where it is immediately met with a quarantine checkpoint. As personnel stop and disinfect the vehicle, the driver asks them what is happening. One of the workers explains that there was a leak in the biotech district, but that it shouldn't pose any major problems, and lets him pass. As the man drives, his phone rings, and as he attempts to pick it up, he loses concentration and accidentally hits a deer that stumbled onto the road. He checks the truck for any damage before leaving, only for the deer to suddenly reanimate and stand up, its eyes foggy. Sok-woo is a divorced, workaholic hedge fund manager who is currently at work, discussing the sale of certain stocks on the phone. As he browses the internet on his computer, he comes across a web article detailing how all the fish in a reservoir have mysteriously died. When his assistant comes in, Sok-woo tells him to sell all the stocks from that company. Later that night, he returns home while arguing with his ex-wife about their daughter, 6-year-old Soo-in. Her birthday is coming up, and she wants to go to Busan and visit her mother, but Sok-woo is too busy with work and doesn't want her to go by herself. At home, Sok-woo finds Soo-in secretly talking to her mother on a video call, and explains that they can visit Busan in a week once he has less work. He gives her a Wii as a birthday present, but Soo-in is dismayed, having received the same present for her previous birthday. She tells her father that all she wants for her birthday is to see her mother, and that she'll go by herself so she won't burden him. Sok-woo has a private conversation with his mother about Soo-in. She tells him that he should go to Busan now and have a heart-to-heart with his ex-wife, telling him that while he may be very busy, this is a very important time in Soo-an's life. She then shows Sok-woo a video of his daughter's recital at school. While Soo-in attempted to sing Aloha Oi, she suffered stage fright because Sok-woo wasn't there for her. Realizing how badly he neglects Soo-in, Sok-woo changes his mind and decides to take Soo-in to Busan on a KTX train. As they drive to the station in Seoul, Sok-woo attempts to make a life lesson out of the recital, but nearly hits an ambulance speeding past him on a crossroads. The ambulance is followed by an entire convoy of emergency vehicles, and Soo-in notes that a skyscraper in the distance is on fire, causing ash to float down from the sky. At the station, KTX 101 is preparing to depart. As conductor Sok-young makes final preparations, the passengers board the train, including Sok-woo and Soo-chan, a baseball team heading to an away game, who cheer when classmate Kim Jin-hee arrives, having signed on as cheerleader to see her crush Min Young-gook and elderly sisters Jong-gil and In-gil. As the train leaves, however, an injured woman runs inside before the doors close to take shelter, unnoticed by staff. Soo-in also sees a station attendant being tackled by a man. The injured woman, who has a bite wound on her right leg, attempts to tend to her injury in a toilet, only to see her surrounding veins starting to turn black. Young-suk, a COO of the Stallion Express Cooperation, alerts one of the train attendants that he saw someone jump onto the train and hide in the toilet. Soo-in joins them, curious. The attendant unlocks the toilet, but it is not the woman, rather, it is a terrified homeless man, who keeps muttering how everyone back at the station is dead. As the attendant tries to calm him down, Young-suk tells Soo-in that she'll end up like the homeless man if she doesn't do well at school. She rebuffs him, stating that her mother said anyone who says such things is a bad person. Soo-in attempts to visit the toilet, but runs into a man named Yoon Sang-hwa, who tells him that his pregnant wife Seong-kyung is using the toilet and that she'll have to use one further down the train. Meanwhile, the stowaway woman staggers through the train, her veins becoming increasingly tainted unbeknownst to the passengers, before she collapses and faints in the back of the train. A female attendant, Min Ji, discovers the woman convulsing and shaking, and radios for medical assistance. Sok-woo is awoken from his slumber by his phone ringing, and answers it to find one of his colleagues on the phone. He panics, and warns Sok-woo of violent civic unrest across the country. As the passengers watch the news, they see reports of violent riots breaking out across South Korea. Sok-woo then notices his daughter is missing, and goes to look for her. The stowaway woman reanimates, now a zombie, just as Min Ji turns her back. She then attacks, infecting Min Ji, several of the baseball players, and other civilians. Chaos ensues aboard the train, with the chief attendant urging passengers towards the front, only to be caught and bitten by Min Ji while alerting a sleeping woman. Sok-woo and Soo-in witness the zombies charging across the train, and flee to the front. Sang-hwa and Seong-kyung also see the carnage, and the former fends off a zombie that attacks them and infects a woman. As the remaining passengers reach car 8, Young-suk orders Sok-woo to block the door to stop the zombies getting any further. He does so, only to lock Sang-hwa and Seong-kyung outside as they were sealing the zombie in the toilet. Unfortunately, Sang-hwa overpowers Seok-woo and opens the door, enabling him and his wife to get inside and lock the door just as the horde reaches them. Upon further observation, the passengers discover that the zombies have lost their higher brain functions, being unable to open the unlocked door. Young-suk then covers the door with a papier-mâché of newspapers, causing the zombies to calm down. Sang-hwa calls Seok-woo out for leaving him and his wife to die, to which Seok-woo replies that the lives of everyone who was already in safety mattered the most. Conductor Seok-young announces over the intercom that due to orders from the control station, KTX 101 will not be stopping at the next city. Seok-woo then receives a phone call from his mother, who tells him that everything back home is in chaos. She begs him to take care of Soo-eun. Before turning into a zombie over the phone, Seok-woo chooses not to tell Soo-eun of his mother's infection. As the train passes through the next station, the passengers see that the city has already become overrun, with passengers begging for help and banging on the windows before being attacked and infected by zombies. A government official on the news explains how violent riots are breaking out in major South Korean cities, and that many major districts have been quarantined. The survivors check their phones to find that videos of the riots, along with #zombies, are trending on social media. The official declares a nationwide state of emergency, and orders civilians to quarantine themselves in their homes and not to trust any unverified news. Despite assurances that everything is under control, Seoul has descended into anarchy. As the passengers settle in for the ongoing journey, Soo-eun tells Seok-woo that she can't contact his mother. As he attempts to call her again, Soo-eun gives up her seat for In-gil. Seok-woo tells her not to be altruistic, as people need to look out for themselves above all. The conductor then announces that the train will be stopping at Daejeon, where a military checkpoint has secured the station and will take the citizens to safety. However, as Young-suk is making a phone call to check which cities remain safe, Daejeon is not on the list. Seok-woo overhears him, and phones a colleague. Upon hearing that they'll be quarantined, he offers to help the colleague in the future if he and Soo-eun can evade quarantine. The colleague agrees, and instructs them to head to the East Square when the train arrives, where some of the military will be waiting for them. Meanwhile, Soo-eun talks with Sang-hwa and Seong-kyung, where she apologizes for her father's behavior and explains his job as a hedge fund manager. Sang-hwa shows open disdain for Seok-woo and calls him a bloodsucker, which Soo-eun doesn't defend him against. The train arrives at Daejeon Station, which is completely abandoned. The passengers disembark and head for the main square, but Young-suk pulls both Seok-young and train attendant Ki-chul aside. He informs them that Daejeon is not safe, and that their main objective should be to head to Busan, which is one of the last surviving cities in South Korea. He demands that the compromised cars be disconnected from the KTX, but Seok-young states that it cannot be done. The three decide to head for Busan, but the conductor insists that they won't depart until the survivors have returned to the train. Inside the station, Seok-woo and Soo-eun separate from the others to head to the East Square, with the homeless man, having overheard Seok-woo's phone call, following them. When Soo-eun finds out what's going on, she attempts to inform the other passengers, only for Seok-woo to stop her. He reminds her again to look after herself, but Soo-eun tearfully calls him out for being selfish, stating that he cares about work more than family and blaming him for her mother's divorce. As the main group of survivors descend an escalator to head outside, they discover that Daejeon has long fallen to the infection, with the infected military soldiers waiting outside. They attack, infecting the passengers on the escalators who cannot climb up in time, but Sang-hwa lifts himself and Seong-kyung onto the main stairs so they can escape. At the same time, Seok-woo and the homeless man discover the last surviving soldier, who is quickly attacked and mauled by his former comrades. As the two make a dash back to the station, Sang-hwa and the other passengers arrive in the main area and save Soo-eun from being bitten from behind. As Soo-eun flees to the train alongside Seong-kyung, Seok-woo is tackled by a zombie. The homeless man saves him, and the two manage to reach a door as Sang-hwa, Jin-hee and the baseball team hold it open for them. The men desperately try to barricade the door as the others go ahead. As the women reach the train, they notice some survivors dying after they accidentally attempt to flee into the compromised cars, and are forced to take the other side of the train. Shortly afterwards, the zombies manage to break through the windows on the upper floors and collapse onto the train roof, landing on the station and dividing the survivors. Soo-eun, In-gil, Seong-kyung, and the homeless man are separated from the others and forced to take shelter in the back of the train, while Jong-gil and Jin-hee manage to reach the front.